Hi, everyone, and welcome to Empower Your Health Naturally, the summit. And today is day 18, and it is actually our final interview on this particular platform. We might be doing a couple of extra secret special bonus interviews on Facebook Live, so keep your eyes peeled in your email for those. But for today, this is going to be our headline act. We've got Rory Coleman. Awesome human being. I'm very grateful to have him on the show today. He has overcome all kinds of challenges in his life. He's known as the marathon man. He's run over 1,000 marathons. He's been through various very challenging illnesses, which we'll go into a bit later. He's coached several celebrities you will have heard of. He's coached Rainoff Hines, Helen Skelton, and he is on the telly all the time teaching about his coaching. He's teaching about the process of change, which we can all relate to now, right? And his free gift is going to be all about that, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, he's got a lot to teach us about the importance of mindset. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. So I just want to welcome you to the show, Rory. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thanks for picking me up like that. That's lovely.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And we've connected quite a bit before this interview, so it's been really nice to just get to know you. And you're I find you a very grounded individual and a very giving.
Okay, yeah.
Very giving, very serving, very service-minded person, which, you know, as a spiritual person, that's my aim as well, to serve all. But it seems that obviously that has done you well for your life, and you serve a lot of people now. So I just want to thank you for that contribution that you're making to people. But yeah, let's start off with just talking a little bit about how you kind of got to where you're at today in your coaching business, and the fact that you've kind of come through all these big challenges in your life, and how that got you present to the power of mindset. If you could speak a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, it's been quite everybody always sort of says that they're on a journey, and life is a journey, isn't it? And I never thought, I'm 60 next year, I never thought that I'd end up being a teacher, because that's what it is in a way, isn't it? We're teachers, we're using our life experience to help other people. And I grew up, and I think when I was confused. I did spend a lot of my early years being confused. I had a good idea of who I was, but I didn't quite know what to do with what I'd got, if that makes sense. I found out that I was either really good at things or just really awful. I was very creative, very artistic, very musical. And yet when it came to reading books or remembering words or like a play or a script, I just couldn't do it. And nobody ever pointed out when I was at school back in the early 70s that actually this boy must be on the spectrum or something. He's a bit confused, but he's very creative, and we'll push him down that line. They just sort of said I was a bit of a nuisance, and maybe I wasn't as bright as my brother, who was 3 years older than me, and so academic and brilliant. So I sort of muddled along in this strange world, trying to be maybe something that I wasn't. I was trying to be academic. I went to a beautiful grammar school, but I didn't quite fit in, and I wanted to do things my way. So when I went to university, but found out again you had to read books, and again I can't read books, so I quickly dropped out, and then found my way into print and design, again, which is creative. And at the time I did an apprenticeship, but with it came this lifestyle, and I got trapped in the smoking, drinking, eating bad stuff, working all the hours, typical thing of the late 80s, in the sort of the yuppie years. We did well, we were successful. I was successful in what I did, but I was still very confused about who I was and what I wanted to do. And I married very young, and we had a small family, and I sort of did the things that people did, and got to about 30, but started almost circling the drain. Really was it was in a downward spiral. And there was no internet in 1993 or whatever. You couldn't reach out, hashtag mental health, or look at some YouTube movies, or even self-help books. They didn't seem to have that sort of thing back then. And you certainly couldn't go to people and say, actually, I think I'm really depressed, because it was very much it's a toughen up, buttercup. So, suck it up, be strong. You're a guy, come on. You certainly couldn't come out about your health or wealth or relationship problems, because people didn't really want to know. It was very private in those days. And I just became addicted to alcohol. And I I just thought, as long as I had my sort of daily pinter, a couple of beers and whatever, and started getting into little bits of scrapes, that life was okay. And I suppose it was. But I got to this stage where I just hated myself. I got that self-loathing. You're looking in the mirror thinking, God, I really don't like that person looking back at me. I remember thinking it when I was 30, thinking, I've got to do something about this. And it takes time to pluck up courage. That thing where people reach out. People reach out to me now. They reach out to me every day. Help. And excuse me. You sort of reach out, and I didn't know who to reach out to. But I did get to that stage where I just felt really toxic.
Yeah.
And I needed to pick a time when I could ditch my job, ditch my friends, ditch my enablers, the people leading me astray, and that I was leading astray. And I just thought, I need to go and have a run. I need to run. I don't know why. I'd never run before. But I just thought, oh gosh, I'd seen all those people on the local marathon run by, and they all look fit and healthy and happy. I thought, well, I'll have a go at that. So on the 5th of January 94, I stood outside my front door in my leather shoes and work clothes, and I ran 100 steps and sort of passed out on the pavement and felt absolutely euphoric. I had that real moment where the world went 4K color, and I thought, this is it. I found my thing, the thing that I'm going to, I don't know, like an exoskeleton that you're going to hang your life on.
Right.
The rest of my life is going to be hung on this. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to go and run 1,000 marathons or one marathon. I just thought, oh, well, tomorrow I'll do 200 steps. I'll see if I can get a bit further. And then 400. And then I found out that actually I really loved it. And I didn't need to drink anymore. I just stopped. I didn't need to smoke cigarettes anymore. I just stopped. And within a month, I'd closed my business. I got rid of all my friends. I'd had a massive haircut. I got rid of, gosh, I just had such a massive life laundry. I got rid of everything that I could possibly think of that was being corrosive to my life. And a couple of months later, I ran a half marathon, and then I did the London Marathon, and just sort of kept on going. And this carried on. This carried on, and I started finding out that I was more successful in my business career, and I built up a business in my back bedroom. I built up this business that was all about inspiration, and I sold it. I sold the concept to a company, and after about 12 months, the crash happened. They moved further east, and I was left sort of just floundering in the middle of nowhere, thinking, well, I've got some money. I don't want to go back into print and design because that sort of changed and I didn't really want to go back into that world. So I went into personal training. Found out the hard way that it's very difficult to make headway in a gym teaching people how to lift weights. They just sort of want to get massive. I wanted to, I'd run 500 marathons. They weren't interested in that. They just wanted to get huge. And I wasn't interested in making people huge. But I thought to myself, I've got this USP of, it's this mindset that people want to buy into. And I started projecting that mindset to people. And literally overnight, I went from, well, very little work to a full catalogue of work. I've got people coming to me from all over the place. Everybody talks about Zoom. We're on Zoom now. I was on Skype, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, talking to people about fitness who they weren't in the UK, they were in Spain or Australia or New Zealand or America, because actually the market for this is global. We're now discovering that we can work from home. Well, I've been working from home all this time. I sit here every day and I just talk to people that I've never met about changing their mind, how they see things. And I see things in a very black and white way. It is very black and white in my world. It's either a 0 or a 1. I either like it or I don't like it. It's really simple. There's no sort of 50 shades of grey. But what I find out with a lot of my clients is that they're just confused. A lot of the time they're confused, or there's baggage, or there are people that are, it's almost like kryptonite, that are destroying their world. And what I want to do is I want people to win. I want people to succeed. I want people to be happy. I want people to look back when they're my age and say, do you know what? I've done pretty well.
Yeah.
I've been happy. I've had the job. I've had the relationship. I've had the children. I've had the house. And do you know what? I can chip into my headstone, that epitaph, and just think, actually, I've left a fingerprint on the world, or a thumbprint on the world. And when I look back at the last 10 to 13 years I've been doing this, I think, yeah, I've changed lives. I really have changed lives. Yeah. And that's a real privilege. Running 1,000 marathons, that's really boring. It's not, it's just what I've chosen to do with my time and my energy, and it's satisfied my need to impress, because that's what it is. You've had I send you an email at the bottom, it's got 1,087 marathons. And then, a week later, it's 1,088 marathons. That satisfies me. And every time I look at it, I do a little chuckle. But it's only important to me. The beauty for me is somebody saying, you changed my life. Yeah. And when you're let into people's worlds and they tell you their deepest, darkest secrets that they wouldn't tell anyone else, that's the best bit. And they come through it, and I work with them. I love working with people for about 6 weeks. My ideal client is 6 to 12 weeks, where I can just make a massive change.
You like an hour a week? Would you do an hour a week then?
Yeah, some people are 6 times a day. The interaction is whatever they need.
Right. Okay.
It all depends what they're trying to do. For some people, I talk to them once. I've got a fantastic client. He came to see me and he just said, just drinking too much. I'm a pushover at work. I'm drinking too much. I just need to stop. And we just went for a local coffee, and he's, I don't know, 3 years dry.
Yeah.
Job done. It's a really simple thing to project those ideas. You know, I love the concept that tomorrow is just a blank sheet of paper.
Mm.
You know, you can write the future. We can't change the past. Okay, we've made some decisions. Some have been good, some of them not so good, and it's history. We can't change that, and we have to learn from it. And we just have to think, oh well, you know, so what? We've all been in relationships. I've been married a couple of times. You go through that divorce, you go through that hurt, and you rebuild. And you've got your blank sheet of paper, and you think, right, what's the new me going to do? What am I going to do? So I'm not going to drink anymore. Okay. I think I'm about 20 days off 10,000 days dry. 10,000 days, 27 years without a drink. I'm really proud of that. It's something that's dear to me. Doesn't matter to anybody else. It's totally immaterial, but it's the one thing I can say. Actually, I've been totally 100% on that, and I've never ever thought once about. I never thought, gosh, I need a drink, because I've just terminated that behaviour, and seeing that in other people. To say, I think you're somebody that can't drink. And I said that to a lady. I said it to a lady 3 years ago. She's got a new job. She's got a fantastic new job, and she's completely dry. And she would never have had that job if she hadn't heard me. I was on Chris Evans' breakfast show actually that morning, and she'd heard me on the radio, sent me a message. I phoned her straight away, because that's what you do when you're self-employed. Hello. And we connected, and she just said, oh, I just drink all the time. I need to stop. And I said, well, you're somebody that can't drink. And you change lives, and they tell somebody else, and they tell somebody else. And I don't know. I think I've succeeded in what I do, because I just sort of cut to the chase. I'm really direct with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in our short interactions that we've had, you very naturally did that with me, actually, and it's beautiful. Actually, I find it's a beautiful style that you have, because you listen very deeply to people, and then you say what's there, and you don't put any kind of icing on it at all. But I would say it's clear that whether it's like running marathons or going dry off alcohol, or whatever goal it is for whatever person, the same thing is in common, is that you're building that self-worth, self-image, self-esteem. And then from that's a foundation where miracles can happen in your life. And I just want to kind of segue into, because speaking of miracles, like, I think the thing that I found profound about your life that I didn't know before was about your illness, and the way that you basically got yourself out of a wheelchair with the power of your mind. That is, you can't say that isn't a miracle. That is a miracle right there. So you've got proof, guys. Miracles exist, and we can create them with our mind. But yeah, if you want to just speak a bit to that for the audience, that would be great.
Shall I tell you about it? Okay. So I'd been at the 2016 Marathon des Sables. So this is the world's toughest foot race. You're running 150 miles across the Sahara in 55-degree heat, carrying all of your gear. And I'm like the British guy that's done it the most. So I'm this fantastic desert warrior. And it's a tough year, 2016, very sandy year. And I remember thinking, gosh, this is hard work. This is hard work this year. And on the last day, the last marathon day, the sand sort of parted and there was this hard ground to run on. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to really race hard to the line, the last 5K. So I started running faster, and there's a French guy, and he started running faster. So I ran a bit faster, and it ended up we were sprinting for the line. And we got to the line, and I couldn't catch my breath. I thought, gosh, I'm having some kind of asthma attack. I was in real trouble. And after about half an hour, I went to they have full medical crew out there. And they sort of said, your oxygen levels are really low, 85% saturation, which would put me into the local hospital here. So I said, oh, just give me some oxygen. And I went on some oxygen for a couple of hours and got through the night, and I finished the race the next day, actually. But when I came home, I just felt really strange. And then I had this intense pain, which I can only describe as having the sort of skin peeled off your back. It was unbelievable levels of pain. And I started feeling very unstable, like I was totally drunk. And I went to the local A&E, and they sort of said, we think you've got a very bad back, and they gave me some tablets. And then the next day, I couldn't really move. And I went to my local doctors, and he said, you're seriously ill. You need to get your wife here. And he said to my wife, and I was there, he said, I think you have motor neuron disease. So I thought, oh, what's that? And he sort of said, oh, it's really serious and you need to go to hospital. And I phoned my brother, who's a GP, and I sort of said, doctor says I've got motor neuron disease. What sort of tablets do I need for that? And he sort of said, oh, actually, that's end of life stuff. It's a couple of years and it's not very pleasant. So I was then crying in the car about this motor neuron disease. And the doctor came out and he tapped the window and he sort of said, look, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is that you haven't got motor neuron disease. So there was this ultimate relief. He said, you have something called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I said, Guillain what? He said, and he got some sheets of paper with what it was. And I got my phone and Googled it. And it sort of said, look, he said, you've got to go to hospital because you could stop breathing in a couple of hours. Basically, your body's autoimmune system has attacked itself, and your brain waves, when they're going down your whole nervous system, actually all the nerve sheaths are shattered, and you are really, really seriously ill. It affects about 100 people every year in the UK. It's very, very rare. I went to hospital. So by now I'm completely paralyzed from the neck down, wondering whether I need a tracheostomy, but luckily I didn't. And I just laid in the hospital. I was on a lot of medication. My wife was pregnant, and everybody that came to see me cried. Everybody cried. I was on liquid morphine and amitriptyline and lots of different painkillers, so I didn't really know what was going on. I was a bit zombied for the first week or so. But I was sort of stuck, not being able to move, thinking, I've been in a few scrapes. How am I going to get out of this? I was pissed off because I was stuck on 976 marathons, and I've got the next 24 all planned out. So they just said to me, look, if you can get to the door with a Zimmer frame, you can go. So I thought, there's a challenge. So I managed to blag my way to the door. I think I crawled half of it, and I came home. And for 5 weeks, I was just a complete nightmare. I was angry. I was mad. I was cheesed off. All I wanted to do was go back to running and doing what I was used to doing. And it just got worse. So I ended up having to phone the hospital up and say, can I come back, please? And they sort of said, well, if you behave, come back. And they sort of said, well, you've actually got it again. You can actually get this thing very quickly straight afterwards. So I had this SIDP version. And I just thought to myself, I have to accept it. I have to accept where I am. I have to stop fighting. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to say this is going to ruin my life. I'm not going to be a victim, but it can't get any worse. When you're lying in bed and you can't move and all your body fluids are around you, you just think to yourself, actually, this is the pits. The only way's up. What am I going to do? The doctors can diagnose me, the nurses can clean me up, my family can say they're there. The rest of it's up to me. And if I'm this fantastic life coach, if I can't cure myself, I may as well pack up. So I thought, well, what's the key? What's the one thing I need to do to get out of this mess? And it's stand up. That's all you have to do. If you can stand, you can move a foot, you can walk. If you can walk, you can run. If you can run, life might get back to normal. So they put me on some very strong steroids. And over the course of a weekend, I taught myself to stand up. The physio at the hospital, you know, hospital care is amazing. They're just brilliant people with no money. And the local hospital, the University Hospital of Wales, they give you probably 10 minutes of physio a day. 10 minutes. I was in there for 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, strapping myself onto cycling machines to get my legs going, standing there, learning to stand up and sit down for hours on end on these legs that were like Bambi's legs. And I sort of set myself goals. So week 1, Zimmer frame. Week 2, crutches. Week 3, the wheelchair goes. And slowly in this room that I had, there was like a scrapyard in the corner of all these different walking aids. And you know, I'm not the best of patients. I wouldn't wear socks, so I walked for hours around the hospital in bare feet, trying to find out where the floor was, because your proprioception goes when you're paralyzed. And then I started walking home. It was about 1.5 miles home, and I just get the crutches and walk home. I thought, they'd sort of lose me. And eventually I got some leg irons, and the picture behind me on the wall, that's me 4 weeks later doing a half marathon. My wife Jenny there running around. I did park run. It took me 58 minutes to do the first park run. Everybody was fist pumping, going, "Yeah, this is amazing." And I was last. I was really cheesed off. And then 4 weeks after that, I did a marathon. And in the last 5 years, I've run 111 marathons.
Wow.
Because I'm not going to be a victim. And I'm not back to where I was, but you'd never know. I'm a bit wobbly sometimes, and some days I can feel quite tired, but you wouldn't know. And actually, if you ask me, would I go through that process again? I'd probably say yeah, because I learned a lot about me, a lot about life. It destroyed my business. Absolutely, my business vaporized overnight. So I had to adapt. What am I good at? What am I not good at? What am I wasting my time on? And actually, it was more, what I learned was, it's not about me, it's about you. People already think that you're qualified and you've got good knowledge and you've walked the walk and talked the talk. It's what can you do for them? So that's why I like to listen to people, and I like to hear their stories, and I think, oh yeah, I can identify with that. And I like to ask them why they do things. Why do you do that? You know, oh, because we always do it. Well, why don't we just change a couple of ideas? And it's nice to get active, and you know, I think everybody needs to get out and get some vitamin D and see the blue sky every day and feel good about life, and feel that you've made a difference. So there we go. That's being ill.
And you also talked about, because it's just such a like the demonstration of, you visualize that, you worked out, okay, I can stand up, I can walk, I can run. That can be applied to anything. That's the message that I want to get across to our audience today, that can be applied to anything. So whatever it is you think you can't do, you can, but you need to imagine it first and you need to choose it. And I think that's a really great demonstration of that. And you also talked about how it changed your perception of the value of things. So like that you value things so differently after that experience, right?
Yeah, you discover, look, when you can't walk, and you're looking at your legs and you just go, come on legs, just move, and they don't, what's the use of £100,000 in your bank account? It's totally, it's crazy. I've coached people with hundreds of millions of pounds and they're not happy. You know, they haven't reached that thing that actually gives them that satisfaction, that just that warm glow of a feeling of just thinking, you know, that was a good day. Look, I ran yesterday with a lady. We ran 6 months ago. We ran exactly the same thing 6 months ago. And about a week after our run of the week of last October, she said, "Oh, I'm not feeling so good. I just don't feel so good. I'm not sleeping so well." And I said, "Well, you're a wealthy lady. Have you got some health insurance?" "Oh, yeah, yeah." So, well, why don't you go and have a health check? Came back, yeah, she's got leukemia.
Oh.
And yeah, got leukemia. She goes through all of that thing, and we walked. We started off by walking, then we started off jogging, and then we've been building up and building up and building up. And she ran a marathon yesterday with me on our own together, just down the coast, about 5 hours. And we celebrated the fact that actually she's still alive. And through that one conversation about not feeling so well, during the COVID time, if she'd had any infection whatsoever, she'd be dead. So yeah, you get these magical moments where you change people's lives or you save lives or whatever it is, and you can't put a price on that, can you?
No.
Where's the value on it?
And
So,
your relationship.
no,
And you said you valued your relationship as well.
Yeah, you find out who the real people are. Gosh, I had people coming to see me, and they'd say, "Oh, you look better this time." I said, "What do you mean this time?" "Well, I came to see you 2 weeks ago." "Really?" "Yeah, yeah. You weren't really quite with it." And they'd come maybe from Harrogate or Scotland or Monaco to come and see me, because that's the type of people they are. And then the people that you thought, gosh, these are my friends or my relations or wherever it was, never saw them. And I found out the value of my relationship with my wife. It would have been very easy to walk away from there. Very easy. And being the type of person I am, I could understand if she didn't want to be with a guy stuck in a wheelchair that used to be really active and blah, blah, blah. But no, you know, when none of my body systems worked, nothing worked. So, you know, I had to do some things that maybe you wouldn't want to do with your partner, but she never questioned it once. She came to see me every single day for 5 months in hospital, brought the kids. She was there. And, you know, that's unquestionable loyalty. So yeah, you know, and I have to thank her for that.
Unconditional love.
Well, yeah, it's overwhelming, isn't it? Even now, when I think about it, yeah, it's quite an overwhelming thing. I'm not one for fuss. You know, I don't really like fuss. Even when at the start you're sort of saying all those different stats, I sort of think, oh gosh, here we go. I don't really like all the fuss. I like to see what other people are doing, because I know what I'm doing. What I'm doing is really boring because I've done it a million times. I like the excitement of new things and new people. I love change.
Mm.
You know, all the all the different rule changes that we've had with the COVID and everything over the last few months. I found it quite interesting in a way.
Mm.
I think it's interesting how people have either really done well or completely sunk.
Yeah.
It seems to have been like that, doesn't it? The people who can adapt and who are successful are even more successful, and the people that have floundered and maybe even with their jobs, they've sort of they've kept under the radar for a long time, and then suddenly the COVID and the it's exposed them, and life's changed, and suddenly they've been furloughed. And people don't like that. They don't like rejection, do they? No, nobody likes rejection.
Every
But
God's protection. That's what my
yeah, and you sort of think, well, okay, but if you're rejected, fair enough. You do have to sort of just close a book on it and say, I'm moving on. I value myself more than that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's self-value and confidence. You know, empowered women are fantastic to coach. I love that. Most women don't have very high self-confidence or self-esteem.
Mm.
They seem to have it beaten out of them by all the men in their lives. It's shocking, and yet empowering women. I love coaching women. It's great. So strong and very determined. And I love that with people. I love people that are determined, people that try hard.
You've touched on something that's very close to my heart, actually, there, Rory, because I very much am into gender equality. I'm very much into female leadership, and I think there is still a lot of work to do in that area. I think it's less talked about, but it's still very much there. Women get paid less for the same jobs, and there's a lot of leadership roles, primarily still filled by men. And actually, I have a very strong belief that the world would work better with that more feminine energy in those leadership roles, simply because there's a natural, this is just my opinion, there's a natural masculinity, there's a natural competitiveness that comes with that embodiment of masculinity, which is part of the reason why in general you can run faster, you're stronger, you have that competitive nature, right? But there's that more collaborative model, which is kind of what this summit is all about as well. It's been very collaborative. Everybody's sharing audience, everybody's sharing from very different perspectives on the same subject, and that I just think that's the way forward for the world. And I'm not talking about like it being only women, I'm just talking about a bit more balance there. So I'm definitely all about that.
I think what happens as well is that especially on the male side of things, it is competitive, and I am really competitive with things. I promise you I'm competitive, but I'm not envious of anyone. I don't think, they have a Ferrari. I really wish I had a Ferrari. I'm not really interested in that sort of stuff. I'm not really interested in possessions. I'm not reward driven. I'm experience driven.
Yeah.
So the things that I value the most are actually things that you can't touch. They're not tangible. So I think if you can get that competitive side out of it's not the competitive edge, but that bit where you're competing with somebody to be better than them. I'm past all that. already am past all that, and actually I want to see people flourish, and I'm really happy if somebody's successful. It's a very American attitude. Americans like to be associated with successful people.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Britain, we're sort of, oh, look at them. We find it, we don't like to sort of talk about our emotions and to show off. Whereas, you know, I think it's just far easier to state the obvious. I seem to spend my life stating the obvious, but otherwise, what's the point? And I certainly wouldn't tell anybody something that I didn't believe was true, whether it's good or bad. I think it's always honesty is the best policy. What do you think? This is what I think. And you either like the reply or maybe you won't. But actually, it's an honest sort of reply.
There's so much clarity in being that way, and that it reminds me of an incredible book called Radical Honesty. I don't know if you've heard of that, by Brad.
Well, I know. Well, you're talking about reading books again, and
sorry. Yeah. I'm terrible. I'm always on the audio books. That's the way. But I did read a bit last night, I have to say. But no, I get that about you. It's a great quality, and you know, thank you for that, for being that kind of down to earth authenticity that you are. But yeah, I just want to, because we've already finished the interview. I could go on so much longer, but I'll quickly.
Sorry.
No, not at all. It's just so that people, you know, I want people to stay engaged. And yesterday we sent out a bonus that was a very long interview, so I hope everyone stayed with it. We'll see. But I wanted to ask before we finish the same thing I asked all the speakers on the show, and it is, what are your top 3 health habits that you would love to share with our audience today? Apart from
my top 3 health habits.
We can't have running. We've had running.
Okay. I would say, I think you have to invest an hour into yourself every day. Invest an hour. And it could be just going for a walk. It could be a cycle. It could be just some time to go outside and look at the blue sky and the leaves and the birds and the bees and the trees. Just have an hour out just to go and find clarity. Have a think. I think you get to the stage of frustration, all your frustrations, things calm down, and then you can actually plan out the rest of your day if you just take some time out. So maybe a good time out. Lose some weight. it's no matter how you do it, cleaning up your diet makes a huge difference. It's a massive health benefit. And have some big dreams. Go and do something that is just totally outrageous, that you just think, oh my God, I'll never do that. And it might not be walking to the South Pole or climbing Everest or wherever it is, but just go and think about something that you could do that would just be totally out of your mindset. Just think, really? And go and achieve it. Go and plan for it. That's the best thing. It's like if you buy a new car, actually the moment you get the new car is really boring, because then you've got the new car. The best part about getting a new car is actually finding it, or if it's brand new, doing all the specs on it. It's that anticipation, yeah, that appetite. So why don't you go and find something that takes you out of your comfort zone and go and do it? Because you'll look back and you'll just think, I should have. And if there are too many should-haves and could-haves, I don't think you've got value for money.
No, absolutely not. You've just reminded me that I said I was going to skydive for my 40th. I haven't done it
And
yet.
what happened?
I did that.
Yeah,
Busy with life.
I could think of some. I could think of some better things to go and do. I could think of some things that are better, but um, yeah, go and do something that takes time, energy, thought,
Yeah,
and appetite. Be cool.
that's beautiful advice. I love it. I love it. It's really beautiful. Just a quick question regarding the diet.
Mm.
Do you have views about veganism? Because I'm a big promoter of veganism. What do you think?
Yeah, as long as you can get your protein, get all your vitamins, supplement your diet. Um, yeah, look, whatever people want to do, whatever what people makes people happy. If you want to be a vegan, have a go. Um, I'm just not a foodie person. I'm just really not foodie.
Right.
I just see food as fuel,
Yeah.
and I fuel up because that's what I want to go and do something, and I need loads of energy to go and do it. Cleaning up your diet makes a massive difference, and even if you go vegan for 6 months, why not? Or through the summer months, eat loads of plant-based stuff.
Try 30
Um,
because after 30 days, I think a lot of people would be surprised at how, you know, how little they miss it actually after 30 days.
Uh, absolutely. I have a diet and it's virtually carb free that I give to my clients. And for the first couple of days, they want to eat anything. They're so hungry. But after a couple of days, you're not, because you're not eating the carbs. They've got a healthier lifestyle. They lose 5 or 6 kilos, some of them in the first week.
Mm.
They're big people. They lose a load of weight. People say they look healthier, and I've got one lady that's lost 8 stone since June. Life changing.
Yeah.
And people are walking by her in the street because they don't recognize her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's incredible.
Incredible.
And along the way, we've helped her. You're not fat anymore. Great. Okay, you're not overweight anymore, but the issues that you had are still there. We need to then look at those issues. Why do you eat? What, where's that confidence level? And she's got a new job, and actually things are on the up. It's great. I love all that. So if you want to be a vegan, beautiful, go for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Rory. And I just want to finish, guys, by just sharing again about Rory's very generous free gift. So he's actually putting on a masterclass especially for you, and it's going to be all about how to deal with change, which couldn't be more relevant than what we're dealing with in this current global situation. So I think not just the pandemic, but there's just been so many shifts of life and how we do our business and how we lead our relationships, and it's just impacted everything. So being adaptable, being like bamboo, as the Lao say Ching, do you know that there's a Chinese text and they talk about being like bamboo, being flexible. So yeah, come and learn all about that with Rory, and he's going to do that on the 5th of May at, I believe it's 8 p.m. Is that correct? Did I get the time right? I think that's right.
That's correct. Yeah, please come and be part of it. And it's there's audience participation too, so it's not just me talking about change. It's you can take part too, which is quite nice. I like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so come and interact with us, and remember, we are going to be live as well on the 26th, which is Monday at 7:30. Rory, I don't think I've even mentioned this to you. You are very welcome. Have I mentioned the VIP event to you? I have. No, we'll get to that. So, but I have
Okay.
many speakers confirmed anyway for Monday who've been participating in this summit. who are going to come, and they're going to support you guys in getting clear in whatever you're working on. Maybe it's your health, your relationships, your wealth, whatever it is. Come join us. We're going to give you some great advice. You're going to get all the interviews that you may have missed. You're going to get a session with me. You're going to get loads of cool stuff. A masterclass with me as well on balancing your life. So guys, I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching. It's the end of the summit. Whoa! It's been a crazy ride for me, I can tell you, because this is my first summit, so it's been a crazy ride. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been transformative, I hope, for you as much as it has for me. And it's just going to be the first of many. So we're going to do a live one on the 28th of May. And yeah, I'm just super excited about what's going to happen in the future. So stay with us. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to